Imagine standing before the grave of the one you love most, your heart shattered, memories flooding back like crashing waves. Suddenly, a cold handcuff snaps tight around your wrist. How does a sacred moment turn into a nightmare? This is the story of John Harlan, a 70-year-old veteran who spent his life serving and loving, only to face injustice at the very place he sought to say his final goodbye to his wife. A tale of loyalty, pain, and the enduring strength of brotherhood that never fades. If you want to uncover journeys that stir the soul, hit subscribe to Veteran Best Stories to never miss tales like these. Stories that honor courage and sacrifice. A bitter dawn cloaks Willow Grove Cemetery, Pennsylvania, in a thin, fragile mist, like a veil hiding silent sorrows. John Harlan, 70 years old, stands motionless before his wife Evelyn's grave, buried just days ago. His old gray suit, the only one he owns, clings to his gaunt frame as if grasping for the warmth of bygone days. On his lapel, a tiny American flag pin glints faintly, but to him, it's a flame that never dies, a symbol of loyalty and the years he gave to his country. His hands, calloused from gripping rifles in war, now tremble as they touch the cold stone marker inscribed with Evelyn Marie Harlan, his wife, mother, companion, who walked with him through 45 years of life, now forever gone. In that moment, his heart seems to still, drowned in a sea of emotion, grief entwined with fierce longing, as if he can still hear Evelyn's voice echoing nearby. The maples encircling the cemetery blaze with crimson, their falling leaves drifting like gentle arms, seeking to cradle John, to shield him from autumn's chill and the deeper chill of loneliness. He stands there, whispering softly to Evelyn, his voice low and choked, yet carrying an unshakable resolve, like a soldier still standing tall though time has worn his body. He recounts memories only they shared, evenings waltzing in their small kitchen, Evelyn's laughter ringing as he clumsily stepped on her toes, sleepless nights when war's nightmares jolted him awake, her warm hand pulling him back from the darkness. Each story is a blade carving into his soul, both painful and tender, reminding him their love was the light guiding him through the bleakest days. In John's heart, those memories aren't just the past. They are his breath, his reason for standing here, though his heart is shattered. More than an hour has passed, but John doesn't leave. He stands there, motionless like a statue, his eyes clouded by age but burning with an unyielding flame. To him, this moment isn't just a farewell. It's a sacred vow, a pledge that he will never abandon Evelyn, the last companion of his life. He thinks of the days they faced every challenge together, war, illness, and years of hardship. Evelyn was always the wind that lifted him up, the light that guided him when he was lost. Now, with her gone, he feels as if a part of his soul has been buried beneath this gravestone. But that vow, that he will remain forever loyal to her, is the thread that holds him together, giving him the strength to carry on, though each step is a battle against loneliness. In the distance, the sound of traffic on the main boulevard echoes, like hammers shattering the cemetery's silence. The space is desolate, with only John and the vivid memories in his mind. He stands there, his hand still touching the gravestone, as if trying to pass one last bit of warmth to Evelyn. But then, from the entrance, a figure in a police uniform appears. Their steps are deliberate, carrying a cold solemnity, as if signaling something about to disrupt this sacred moment. In John's heart, a sense of unease creeps in. He doesn't know why this person is here, but his heart, already fragile from loss, suddenly beats faster. He fears that this silence, his final connection to Evelyn, will be interrupted. But he doesn't turn around, doesn't take his eyes off the gravestone. To him, nothing matters more than this moment when he stands here keeping his vow to the woman who was his entire life. He presses his lips together, whispering once more, as if to tell Evelyn that no matter what happens, he will never leave her. John Harlan stands silently before the gravestone etched with the name Evelyn Marie Harlan, the wife who walked beside him for 45 years of life. But John's story doesn't begin in this moment. It stretches back to distant days, when he was a young man born in the poor countryside of Ohio. In 1971, right after graduating high school, he joined the Army, carrying the simple dream of a boy who wanted to protect his homeland. 15 years of service, 3 tours of duty, he faced smoke and fire, gunfire and losses beyond measure. He brought home a Purple Heart, but his heart bore scars, memories of fallen comrades, of nights when he wondered if he'd survive to see the dawn. At 30, a bullet wound forced him to retire, but the fire within him, the fire of loyalty and resolve, never faded. In his heart, those years of war weren't just the past. They were part of his soul, a reminder that he had sworn never to leave anyone behind on the battlefield. Back in civilian life, John chose Lancaster to rebuild his life. He became a carpenter, his calloused hands, once gripping a rifle, now meticulously crafting sturdy homes, as he had once protected his comrades. Each hammer strike, each piece of wood, was an effort to find meaning in a world without gunfire. But deep within, the nightmares of war still haunted him. The explosions and faces of comrades still appeared in the darkness. He lived quietly, never speaking of his heroics, never boasting of his Purple Heart, but his heart remained heavy, as if he still carried the souls of those who were gone. He wondered if he had done enough, if those sacrifices would be remembered forever, or if they were just faded names on paper. In 1978, at a community dance, John met Evelyn. Her warm smile, like sunlight breaking through dark clouds, pulled him from the shadows. Evelyn wasn't just love. She was the guiding light, the new comrade in the battle of life. They married, raised 2 children, now grown with families of their own far away. Evelyn was the one who listened to his nightmares, held his hand through nights when he woke in a panic, and reminded him he no longer fought alone. In John's heart, she was everything, wife, mother, and soldier by his side, helping him find light when all hope seemed lost. When Evelyn was diagnosed with cancer in 2022, his heart felt crushed. He became her devoted caregiver, driving hours for her chemotherapy, holding her through the most painful days. Each time he saw her smile despite her weakening body, he felt a mix of pain and gratitude. Pain for not being able to share her suffering, gratitude that she was still there, still his guiding light. When Evelyn passed, a part of John's soul went with her. Standing before her grave at Willow Grove Cemetery, amidst the blazing red maple trees, he feels as if he's lost his last comrade. He whispers to her, recounting the days they danced the waltz in the kitchen, the nights she pulled him from the darkness of war. But now, his voice chokes, as if each word is a knife carving deeper into his heart. He hasn't just lost his wife. He's lost the one who fought alongside him through every battle of life, from the days of smoke and fire to the days of illness. In his heart, a profound loneliness rises, like a cold wind sweeping through the cemetery. He stands there, his hand touching the gravestone, as if trying to hold on to Evelyn's lingering warmth. To him, this isn't just a goodbye. It's a vow that he won't abandon her, just as he once swore to never leave anyone behind on the battlefield. The maple trees silently shed their leaves, as if shielding John from the cemetery's stillness. He stands motionless, his eyes heavy with sorrow, but resolute, like a soldier reporting for his final duty. He doesn't know that, in the distance, a police officer's figure is approaching, carrying something that might shatter this sacred moment. But in his heart, there is only Evelyn, only the promise that he will remain forever loyal to her, no matter how cruel time becomes or how the world changes. He presses his lips together, whispering once more, as if to tell her he won't leave, never abandoning the last comrade of his life. But that sacred moment is shattered when Michael Carter, a young police officer with less than a year on the job, receives a call about an intruder. To Carter, this is a chance to prove himself, to cement his place in a team he's still struggling to fit into. In his mind, the intruder could be a vandal, a homeless drifter, not a 70-year-old veteran in a faded gray suit, standing motionless like a statue before a gravestone. As he enters the cemetery, Carter tightens his grip, filled with determination to carry out his duty. But deep down, he can't foresee that this moment will change how he views justice and humanity. Carter approaches John, his tall figure in a police uniform stark against the frail frame of the old soldier. His voice is cold, carrying the sternness of protocol, ordering John to leave the area closed after sunset. But John, his eyes fixed on the gravestone bearing Evelyn's name, seems not to hear the command. In his heart, a storm of emotions swirls. He's been here since morning, since the funeral ended, just to whisper final words to the wife who walked with him through 45 years of life. His voice trembles as he explains, not out of fear, but from the pain of loss tearing at his chest. He wants a few more minutes to finish his prayer, to keep his vow never to abandon Evelyn. But to Carter, those words are mere defiance. He glances at his watch, impatience rising, his voice growing sharper as he repeats the regulations. In him, the zeal of a young man eager to do his duty overshadows his ability to sense the pain in the eyes before him. He doesn't see the soldier who fought for his country. He sees only a man challenging his authority. John, with a choked voice, asks for 5 more minutes to complete his ritual. He doesn't beg. He simply expresses his wish to say a final goodbye to the comrade of his life. But Carter, caught in the rigidity of rules, sees it as resistance. He calls for backup on his radio, his voice reporting coldly about a non-compliant individual. Soon, 2 more patrol cars arrive, their flashing lights piercing the night's fog. Other officers surround John, demanding he stand, hands behind his back. In his heart, a profound sadness rises. He feels no anger, offers no resistance. With the instincts of a soldier who's seen war, he complies. But his weary body and aching arthritis make his movements slow. Carter, lacking experience, mistakes that slowness for defiance. He steps forward, eyes wary, as if John poses a threat. When the handcuffs click tightly around John's wrists, the cold metal against his skin makes him shudder. The sensation stirs horrific memories of years past, when he was a prisoner of war, enduring long days in darkness where hope was but a faint spark. His heart grows heavy, not from the shame of being cuffed, but from a deep disappointment. He looks at Evelyn's gravestone, his eyes blurring with unshed tears. This isn't the America he risked his life to defend, not the country he and his comrades swore to keep safe. In that moment, he feels betrayed, not by Carter or the officers, but by time. Time that took Evelyn, that faded his sacrifices, that turned him into a stranger in his own homeland. Yet even in that pain, he stands tall, back unbowed, like a soldier still reporting for duty, though the battlefield has changed. Carter, standing nearby, doesn't sense the storm of emotions raging in John's heart. He only sees a task completed, regulations enforced. But deep within, a flicker of unease creeps into him. John's eyes, though heavy with sorrow, hold a strange strength, as if challenging him to look deeper, beyond the rigid rules. He doesn't know the man before him is a Purple Heart veteran, someone who built sturdy homes and cared for his cancer-stricken wife in her final days. To Carter, John is just a duty, a report to file. But as he leads him to the patrol car, an indescribable weight settles over him, as if he's done something wrong, though he can't name it. John, walking amid the flashing lights of the patrol cars, keeps his gaze fixed on Evelyn's gravestone. In his heart, a whisper rises, telling her he'll return, that he won't break his vow. Though the handcuffs bite into his wrists, though the night fog chills him, the fire within him, the fire of loyalty to Evelyn, to his comrades, to himself, still burns, glinting like the tiny American flag pin on his lapel. He knows that, even if the world turns its back, he'll never stop fighting to protect what's most sacred, just as he stood firm on the battlefields of long ago. The air grows heavy as the situation around John Harlan escalates. John, overwhelmed by the pain of losing Evelyn, his weary legs no longer able to bear him, sinks onto a nearby stone bench. He breathes heavily, his trembling hands clutching his chest, as if grasping for a shred of peace to finish his final prayer for his wife. In his heart, a storm of emotions swirls. Grief over his loss entwined with the helplessness of being misunderstood. He only asked for a few more minutes, not to defy, but to gather strength, to keep his vow never to abandon Evelyn. But Michael Carter, the young, inexperienced officer, views his actions through the lens of protocol. To him, John's slowness is resistance, a sign of non-compliance. The zeal of youth blinds him to the pain in the old soldier's eyes. He draws his taser, his voice stern as he declares John increasingly agitated. The other officers, caught in the tense atmosphere, stand still, offering no intervention. In that moment, John's heart feels crushed. He holds no anger toward Carter, but a profound sadness rises. A sadness from a man who fought for freedom, now treated like a criminal in his own homeland. When the electric jolt surges through John's body, he collapses beside the patrol car, his frail frame shuddering in pain. But the groan escaping his throat isn't just a physical response. It's the cry of an old soldier, a silent wail from the years he spent defending noble ideals, only to be branded a criminal now. That sound, faint yet laden with weight, echoes through the blazing red maple trees like a plea from the past, from battlefields where he shed blood, from nights he held Evelyn's hand through nightmares. In his mind, memories of war flood back, days as a prisoner, moments he thought he'd never see light again. But this pain, being handcuffed and tasered beside his wife's grave, cuts sharper than enemy bullets. He looks toward Evelyn's gravestone, his vision blurring as if to apologize for failing to preserve their sacred moment. Though his body aches, the fire within him, loyalty to Evelyn, to his comrades, to himself, still burns, if only faintly. At the cemetery gate, a small crowd begins to gather, drawn by the flashing patrol car lights. Among them, Helen Keller, the florist from a nearby shop, recognizes John instantly. She remembers him, the quiet man in the gray suit, stopping by weekly to buy carnations for Evelyn, his eyes always full of love, though sometimes tinged with sorrow. Seeing John collapse, handcuffs tight around his wrists, her heart twists in pain. Without hesitation, she calls friends, her voice choking as she recounts the heartbreaking scene. One of her calls reaches Luis Martinez, a young former Marine who met John at the local Veterans Club. Luis knows him well, the old soldier with a Purple Heart, who spoke of Evelyn, her battle with cancer, and this fateful day. In Luis's heart, a fire ignites. He doesn't just respect John as a brother in arms. He feels a deep connection to his pain. He sees himself in those early days back from war, feeling lost in a world that didn't understand invisible wounds. John, with his resilience and love for Evelyn, was his beacon, and now that man needs support. Luis quickly dons his military uniform, boots polished to a gleam, attire crisp as if preparing for battle. He sends a brief message to 5 other comrades. A brother needs us. In his heart, that message isn't just a call, it's a vow. The vow of soldiers who never abandon their own, even after the war has ended. His 5 friends, fellow former Marines, ask no questions. They understand that when a brother calls, they must show up. Within minutes, 6 soldiers, their steps synchronized like the heartbeat of men who never forgot their oath, march into the cemetery. They carry no weapons, but their presence holds an undeniable power. In Luis's heart, a fierce determination surges. He thinks of John, of the stories he shared, of the love he had for Evelyn, and of how he still stood tall despite time's wear. Luis knows that, though the night fog is cold, though the situation is tense, they will stand by John, as he once stood by his comrades on the battlefield. As they advance, the patrol car lights catch their uniforms, highlighting the insignias on their chests. The crowd falls silent, as if sensing the weight of this moment. For John, though his body aches and his heart is shattered, a spark of hope flickers when he hears the steady cadence of footsteps. He doesn't yet know who they are, but in his heart, a warmth creeps in, the feeling that he's no longer alone, that his brothers, from past or present, are coming to keep the promise never to abandon him. As John Harlan kneels beside the patrol car, handcuffs biting into his wrists and his body aching from the electric shock, 6 Marines, led by Luis Martinez, step through the cemetery gate. Their footsteps are steady, unhurried, silent, yet carry a quiet strength, like the heartbeat of men who know the value of honor. Luis, with eyes resolute from facing life and death on the battlefield, leads the group, his crisp uniform reflecting the patrol car's lights. In his heart, a fire burns, not of anger, but of determination to protect a brother, a man he respects, not just for his storied past, but for his undying love for Evelyn. He thinks of John, of the stories he shared at the Veterans Club, of how he cared for his wife through her cancer, and his heart twists seeing him treated like a criminal. Luis knows that, though time may change, the oath to never abandon a comrade remains the torch lighting their path. Michael Carter, standing beside John, falters slightly as Luis's piercing gaze meets his. He senses the difference. These aren't random onlookers, but true soldiers, carrying a loyalty and resolve that he, with less than a year on the job, cannot yet grasp. In Carter's heart, unease creeps in. He thought he was upholding justice, but the Marine's eyes make him question if he was wrong. He stands there, hand still gripping the taser, but his initial confidence fades, replaced by a heavy feeling, as if he's trespassed on something sacred he had no right to touch. When Luis, with the calm of a man who's faced death, requests to see John's identification, Carter fumbles, unsure how to respond. John's veteran ID, noting his Purple Heart and years of combat, cuts through the fog of misunderstanding like a blade. In Luis's heart, a profound respect rises, mingled with sorrow for what John has endured, not just from war, but from the indifference of the world he once defended. The crowd has grown larger now, with other veterans from across the area arriving, spurred by the news spread through Helen's calls. Phones are raised, capturing every moment, as if to etch this injustice into time. Carter's supervisor and the cemetery manager are summoned, bringing the tension of a situation spiraling beyond control. Luis kneels beside John, gently helping him sit up, checking the wounds left by the taser. His movements are deliberate, filled with respect, as if tending to a brother on the battlefield. In John's heart, a spark of hope flickers amidst the physical and emotional pain. He feels the warmth of Luis's hand, a reminder that he's not alone. The other Marines form a circle around him, not threatening, but their presence a clear declaration. John is theirs now, and they won't let him face further injustice. His heart, though shattered by Evelyn's loss, beats with renewed strength. He thinks of her, of his vow never to abandon, and feels that, even in this dark moment, Evelyn is watching, smiling to see him protected. The cemetery manager, after reviewing the situation, confirms John had the right to stay after the funeral. The trespassing charge dissolves like morning mist under sunlight. The handcuffs are removed, the cold metal leaving John's wrists, replaced by the warm handshakes of Luis and his comrades. In his heart, a wave of emotion surges. The pain from the taser, the humiliation, gradually gives way to profound solace. He holds no anger toward Carter or the officers, only sorrow, sorrow that the world has forgotten men like him who sacrificed everything. But the presence of Luis and the Marines proves that his oath and that of his comrades still lives. They escort him back to Evelyn's grave, standing at attention like an honor guard, their uniforms gleaming under the lights. John, with a stronger yet still choked voice, whispers his final words to his wife. He recounts the days they waltzed, the nights she pulled him from darkness, and promises to keep living, if only to carry her love. In that moment, he feels Evelyn listening, and his broken heart finds a measure of peace. As Luis places a hand on his shoulder, John looks up, his eyes heavy with sorrow but shining brightly. No words are needed to feel the presence of these new brothers. They stand there, among the blazing red maples, like soldiers guarding not just him, but the memory of Evelyn, the silent sacrifices. For John, this moment is more than recognition. It's an affirmation that he kept his vow, and that no matter how harsh time may be, he'll never fight alone. Michael Carter, the young officer, stands before the storm of consequences from his actions at Willow Grove Cemetery. Using a taser on John Harlan, a 70-year-old veteran beside his wife's grave, becomes an indelible stain. In Carter's heart, his initial confidence crumbles, replaced by gnawing remorse. Footage from cameras and witness accounts cut like knives, slashing into his fledgling career. He once thought he was upholding justice, but now, John's resolute gaze and the commanding presence of the Marines haunt him. An internal investigation swiftly ends, terminating the path he chose, leaving him with a hollow mix of regret. The police department, under public pressure, revises its policies, requiring approval before arresting those over 65 for minor infractions. But for Carter, the change comes too late. It's a reminder that compassion sometimes outweighs rules. 3 weeks later, John returns to Willow Grove Cemetery, standing before Evelyn's grave with 6 handwritten thank you letters for the Marines. Each stroke of his pen carries heartfelt sincerity, bearing the mark of lessons Evelyn taught him, to cherish what matters. In his heart, the letters aren't just gratitude. They're a way to hold on to those who pulled him from darkness. He recalls the moment they appeared, their steps synchronized, their eyes steadfast, and his heart warms. They reminded him that the brotherhood of soldiers, though time marches on, remains eternal. As he wrote those lines, he felt Evelyn smiling, proud that he still found light amid the pain of her loss. John's story spreads across social media, becoming a symbol of loyalty and injustice. Hundreds of letters, from veterans to civilians, pour in, carrying respect and outrage for what he endured. Standing at Evelyn's grave, John reads each one, his fingers tracing handwritten words as if touching the hearts of strangers who resonate with him. In his heart, a wave of emotion surges. He feels the final gift Evelyn left him, faith that honor still exists, that the world still holds people ready to stand for what's right. Those letters aren't just comfort. They're proof that his and Evelyn's story has touched thousands, igniting a flame of hope in dark days. The Marines, with their simple yet powerful act, showed John the America he fought for is still worth defending. In his heart, they embody loyalty, an understanding of invisible wounds. Every veteran, every story deserves respect. Standing by Evelyn's grave, John feels a profound peace. Though darkness once descended, men like Luis Martinez stood up, like beacons guiding him home. This story, for an American audience, is a reminder that honor lives in small moments, in hearts that never surrender. Share it, and don't forget to subscribe to Veteran Best Stories, so this flame spreads, so silent heroes are never forgotten.